Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. My name is Vinny and I'm joined with today's guest, Dan. He's selling his Amazon FBA business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Welcome to the show, Dan. It's great to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Vincent.
Yeah, my pleasure. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to talking about your business. And just before we get into the specifics, let me just give a brief summary for our listeners. So today's listing is an Amazon FBA business in the jewelry and apparel and accessories niches, and it was created in March 2018. The average monthly revenue for the business is $24,200, and it makes an average of $2,927 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are the Amazon Seller Central account with 15 SKUs, 2 domains and all of the site's contents and files, a trademark, an email list with over 4,500 subscribers, social media accounts, supply contracts and relationships, and SOPs. Just please note that inventory isn't normally included in the listing price and further details can be provided to active buyers. You can head over to empireflippers.com and search for listing 50999 to learn more about the business. And if you want to start your due diligence, just remember to unlock the listing first. Okay, that's really general overview about the business. Let's dive into your background and just find out a bit more about you. Can you tell me about your experience with building or running online businesses? Is this first gig or have you been in the circle for a while?
Yes, been in the business for well over 20 years. I've done coupon websites in the past when it was in the eBay days. And with this business, I started with Ali DropShipping and basically imported most of my products from AliExpress and used it as a dropshipping model at first for my website. In doing so, I was able to collect a lot of data in terms of the products that people wanted, the type of people that came to my website. And through the years, by using Pixel technology, I was able to narrow down my target audience and further advertise to them both on Facebook as well as Microsoft Google Shopping ads. By doing that for the last 2 years, really working on the business for the last 2 years and growing it, I was able to see what I can potentially list on Amazon and find winners that way versus having to manually going to Amazon and all the softwares, Helium 10, Jungle Scout, whatnot, and trying to find winners. Whereas I already have the data and I already know how much they would cost from my suppliers. So it really was just a matter of putting one together and figuring out what I wanted for in terms of my margins. And for the most part, most of the things I sell on the website alone has at least 50% margins. And as far as the Amazon FBA leg of the business, anywhere from 60 to 130% margins. So there's a lot of profit to be made and the suppliers are rock solid. This business has been around since 2016, actually. But again, like I mentioned, the last 2 years is when I really grew it and blew it up. But that doesn't say that there's no more room for growth. In fact, I just recently launched some of my products on Amazon Canada, and I'm starting to see similar growth patterns. Again, there's plenty of other Amazon marketplaces that I have yet to explore. So that's probably another area that potential future buyers can scale the business as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, a lot to unpack there, but it's definitely lots of interesting stuff you're sharing. One of the things that caught my attention, you were saying basically how you started off, like you say, sort of drop shipping, trying to find what products stuck, and then it basically sounded like a natural progression to use that as your sort of, like you say, testing ground and then try and sell it on Amazon, which is, that sounds like a pretty smart idea. While you were learning about Amazon FBA, were there any resources that you found really helpful to, get you more familiar with that business model? I mean, maybe it might have been certain communities or YouTube channels or influencers or just anyone that really helped you learn and skill up in that area.
I got to say, for anyone that wants to get in an FBA business, it's definitely a steep learning curve. But for the ones that are able to overcome those walls, those would be the ones to reap the rewards. With the Amazon business, there was a lot of tools that I had to take it upon myself to kind of explore and see what's out there and just try it all. Earlier I mentioned Helium 10, Jungle Scouts. Those are great tools for identifying, products and to see where the competition is in regards to your own products that you want to launch. But there's more so to it than that. It's also negotiating with your suppliers, figuring out the time it takes to have inventory shipped over so that you don't run out of inventory in FBA and your BSR just skyrockets. So, just finding those balances, is a learning curve in itself. But yeah, for me, I guess I learned majority of my Amazon skill sets just through YouTube, learning through all the different gurus and digesting and everything they had to say. And more so than that, take it upon myself to research it. A lot of times people will get the information, but they don't really take it upon themselves to put 1 foot forward and execute. But that's exactly what I did. And through the period over the last 2 years, using these newfound knowledge and executing it, I was able to overcome these walls. Not to say that there was no failures along the way. There was plenty along the ways, but those failures more or less were just tuition in my eyes, and it was well paid. And I'm at a point now where I like to perhaps move on and give this gem to the next person who wants to take it over because it's a cash cow.
Makes sense. And I'll ask you another question just to follow up on that. I want to ask, we understand why you chose FBA as a business model. Was there any reason why you chose these particular niches to set it up in? Was it just because they're profitable, or is it because you have some interest in them?
So it was because I wanted to collect data. And by picking a niche that was too narrow, like one product stores, it works well on Facebook and social media ads and whatnot, but they're just the one-hit wonder, right? Those are fad products that won't last. They'll maybe sell a lot within a month or two, and then they'll just die out. What I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to capture a specific market niche itself, but I didn't want to go into a market that was already so dominated. And by just exploring and figuring things out at the time, this was 2016, body chains was a subset of the jewelry niche that I noticed you can really segregate and build out upon that main category. For example, body chain could become, shoulder chains, necklaces, ankle jewelry, bracelets, rings, whatnot, right? So by doing that, I realized this offered a lot more opportunity for future growth, because if I wanted to tackle, say, rings, for example, that allows me to really focus on rings, because now I know that rings perhaps makes more than shoulder necklaces or whatever. I wanted to be able to cast my net wide and then narrow it down once, I have the data to double up on the winners.
Yeah, makes sense for sure. I just want to touch on that point you were saying there. You're sort of saying you're now in a position to move on. So why are you selling the business right now, Dan, instead of keeping it or growing it?
Right. I'm moving on to the wholesale resale business. I find that there's a lot more opportunity there, but in doing so, it's also a lot more troubles and work as well, right? So in a way, I'm just kind of graduating to the next phase. I believe I'm at a point where I have gained enough knowledge in this industry where I can be better used in the wholesale business model instead.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. Taking those skills, leveraging it, and basically building another, hopefully bigger and more profitable business. Yeah, for sure. I just want to ask you then, Dan, while you were building and scaling this FBA business, was there anything that you learned that you would be applying to future businesses? Like, what really worked for you?
Yeah, I really believe in workflow. A lot of the times you're going to get hit with unforeseen issues. But if you create a solid workflow and you know exactly what you need to do in order to achieve it, you'll soon realize oftentimes the issues are similar in nature. Therefore, if you have a solid workflow, you can always resort back to that. It's sort of like a guide, if you will. And, I've created similar things, not only internally for myself as like a mental note or notepad, but also for any potential VAs or buyers, just so that they could get a better grasp of it. So I like to create a systematic workflow for every day, as well as for the back end internal business growing portion of it. Yeah, in that regards.
Makes sense for sure. I guess on the other hand then, was there anything that you tried that didn't really give you the ROI that you were hoping for?
Yeah, in the very beginning, I was a little too gung-ho and I did launch quite a bit of products with quite a large budget because it was the hype. 2, 3 years ago, Amazon, or even before that, Amazon was the hype. It was the hottest thing. So, I kind of went head first, diving, into the pool. And not to say that that was the worst decision, but, it was definitely costly, right? Because in doing so, I found products that did not do well. And I ended up with inventory that kind of sat there. But again, it's a lesson learned, and I wouldn't be doing that again. So product research, I guess, is something I take a little bit more serious now. But again, this is in the beginning where I didn't have the data. But over time, as I started collecting the data, I started to see what worked and what didn't. And that allows me to directly funnel traffic from my own website directly to the Amazon listing itself. If you go through the site, you'll notice some of the product description pages, instead of saying buy here, buy now, or add to cart, it will say buy on Amazon. So that's kind of what Amazon likes to see as well. Obviously, they want you to use their pay-per-click system because they make money off of that. But at the same time, they're not going to complain if you're bringing external traffic into their platform and converting, because now you're bringing more customers to them. And it works because, again, I have the data and I know who buys. And over time, it just gets more efficient.
Yeah, that's some really good advice there for sure. Like you mentioned earlier, I guess one of the best teachers is sort of like failure itself, really. And like you say, FBA has a pretty steep learning curve. So it makes sense, everything you're saying. I guess on that note, for people who are listening into this and are new to online businesses, why would you say that FBA is a great business model to start building a business with?
Right. Well, number one, Amazon is not going anywhere. We all know that. Number two, they pretty much dominate the whole e-commerce landscape. And if you know how to do it properly, competition is not an issue, because most of the competition out there, they're very newbie. They're going to make the same mistakes I did. And with what I know now, I can pretty much look at a niche and eyeball it and know whether or not it's profitable, or if it's whether or not it's worth even getting into. You have the products, you don't need to worry about logistics. I guess that's the biggest benefit, right, of having Amazon as a partner. You don't need to have your own 3PL warehousing. You don't need to do your own order processing, customer service. It's quite a headache if you were to do that yourself. I think that's the main reason, and their support is excellent. Once you figure out their back-end interface, it gets quite comfortable and easy to use over time, whereas some other ones out there, like Wayfair and Walmart perhaps, might not be so user-friendly. Yeah, there's a lot of good reasons to go with them. And if you look at their statistics year over year, they're just only growing. And Amazon is expanding into so many other industries, So as time progresses, we're sellers that are already in this ecosystem will become a greater part of that overall as well.
All really good points that you're making there for sure, Dan. I just want to move over to marketing now for your business. What do you currently do for marketing?
Right. So marketing wise, right now, just Facebook ads. It's not too much once. It's all in the profit and loss Excel sheets. And then for other than Facebook ads, we also do Google merchant shopping ads. And that's pretty much automatic because the website has an XML feed of any products that is added on the store. And then with this feed, it'll automatically get passed to Google merchant shopping once a day, and it'll automatically update it. So therefore, whenever people searches for, body chain products, chances are you'll see stuff like that.
Yeah, sounds straightforward enough. I guess as an extension of that question then, let's talk about the sort of day-to-day work that you need to do to maintain the business. Can you just describe what that looks like for you?
Yeah, day-to-day is simply answering a few emails. Most of the emails are customers just inquiring about where their order is at, how long it'll be before they receive them, just a general status update type of email. And usually I'll just go to their order details page, pull up their information, and look and see if the tracking is available. If it is, then I forward it. Usually I don't have to do that because the system automatically will send the tracking to the customer once it's available, once it's received on our website from the supplier. But once in a while, customers would ask about that. Aside from that, obviously order processing. And then the beauty about that for the website is you don't need to put up a cash in the beginning because it's a drop shipping model. So payments are only made once an order is received. Aside from that, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that sounds pretty straightforward as well. Let's talk about the growth opportunities for this business. If you did stay with it, What are some ways that you try to continue scaling it?
Absolutely. I guess time is the only constraint and for me in being able to continue to grow it. But for the new owner, I mean, if they have the time and they want to scale it, it's very simple. We have plenty of products on the site and we know which ones are best sellers. And if you go through what's on the site, you'll notice that there's plenty of opportunity on Amazon to enter those specific niche as well. And then at that point, there's really not much of a deposit or a heavy monetary commitment needed because you can always start with several units and sending FBA first just to see if it works. And if it does, you can always double up, triple up, whatnot. So that's one way to go about it. The other way is to add more products on the website too. There's always new products coming out, newer designs, whatnot. So you can hire a VA to do something like that too and continue to grow your store and your catalog. And that would definitely help. And then on the Amazon FBA side, there's plenty of other marketplaces that has not been attacked yet either. I think the next best one that I would probably go into with the European market, Amazon EU, and just get my products there because it's already working here in US. Canada is looking beautiful. UK would be probably the next one. And it should be a no-brainer given the amount of positive reviews each product has. And once you copy the products over to the marketplace, the reviews and rating go along with it. So that's the beautiful thing. So it's almost as if you're going to get like a product on page one off the bat. Once you go to the next month, yeah, you can do.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely lots of avenues to continue expanding the business. But I mean, if we just look on the flip side of things, obviously all businesses have inherent risks with them, right? So what would you say are some of the biggest risks with this FBA business that a buyer should be aware of?
Biggest risk, I would say make sure that inventory is always stocked because if you run out of inventory, then your BSR is going to skyrocket and it's going to be a while before you get it back down again, right? Amazon works on algorithms. And so that's kind of one thing you always got to be mindful about. Other mistakes is perhaps going too hard on the new product, being too confident. Initially, I think the new owner should test out the waters first, feel comfortable before making real large purchase bulk orders and sending it into FBA. And just working closely with the suppliers. There's a lot of the suppliers I work with. They're great people. They're super helpful, willing to work all hours with you. So you just need to have a solid team of people that, this business have. So as long as you have that, there's really not much to worry about.
Yeah, so it's basically inventory management, staying on top of those levels, making sure there's enough for future months, especially during maybe certain peak seasons, stuff like that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All makes sense. I mean, last few questions really from me, Dan. How much support are you offering buyers?
Yeah, so I'm confident in what I'm selling. I believe this is a big opportunity for the next owner. I'm willing to offer 30 days post-sale support, perhaps a few Skype sessions to get a new buyer acclimated. I can be easily reachable via Slack or email any given time at post-sale as well. I'm not going anywhere, and I'd be more than happy and glad to help the next buyer succeed in taking this brand to the next level because I would love to see that, to be honest.
Great to hear. I'm sure the buyer also wants that as well. I mean, would you be willing to commit to a non-compete?
Absolutely.
Great. And are you open to seller financing, like negotiating something like an earn-out?
Yes, I'm okay with that.
Great stuff. Last question really from me. If you put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why would you say that this is a business that's worth buying?
Well, it's heavy margins. It doesn't take much capital. You have time to get the money out from Amazon and then reinvest it into inventory without being too cash strapped. The barrier to entry, it's pretty much laid out for you. There's no more barrier because I pretty much dominate this niche or several of these niches unless, like I mentioned, inventory goes out of stock or whatnot. I can't see anybody else coming into the picture and taking over. Yeah, it's an easy business to run, plenty of room to scale. Just looking for the right owner who has the motivation, willing to work on it, take 3-4x it easily within a year.
Great to hear. Yeah. But is there anything that you'd like to share that you think I might have missed?
In regards to this business, in the very beginning, it was kind of just, to do it for fun. And after all these years of working on it, more so than just the site making money, I believe that I've created something where If you really look at the backbones of the system internally itself, like with all the website plugins and how everything is connected, it really does lend itself to making it stronger overall. I believe a lot of businesses don't really have that, but mine does. I believe in terms of growing and scaling, it should be very simple.
Awesome stuff. Dan, thank you so much for joining me in today's episode. And yeah, we wish that your business gets picked up in the near future by the right buyer.
Right. Awesome. Thank you, Vinny, for having me.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 50999. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked the listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about the business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.